Welcome to the Destiny Keys, Life Purpose Astrology with Ahimsa Grace, astrology teacher and spiritual space holder. We look at the stars and we know things.
Hello and welcome to this week's Destiny Keys podcast. Today I am joined by the beautiful Kelly Pietrangeli. I said that wrong.
You said it perfectly. You said it perfectly.
Pietrangeli. Kelly is a soul mentor. She supports women on their awakening journey through her online programs and mentorships, in-person retreats, and one-to-one soul plan readings. Kelly is your down-to-earth, relatable guide into the higher levels of conscious living. She has the Project Me podcast, where you can hear engaging stories of her own journey. And hopefully, this will inspire you on your own journey to try different things as well. I'm going to pop all the links that you need in the bio. But welcome. Hi, Kelly. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. I'm excited for this. I feel like I dive into exploring all the intangibles of life, and it's just crazy to me to think that I've never studied or really gone in depth at all on astrology. So this is really cool when we kind of connected and you were looking for somebody. I thought, yes, I want to learn more.
Yes, I've been doing astrology for many years, and it weaves in so well with other holistic modalities that I think you'll find that once you've dipped your toes in, you can see where it can help loads of different areas of your life and areas of your work as well.
I'm excited.
So you're is it a soul plan practitioner?
Exactly. Yeah. So Soul Plan is a channeled through modality, just like you said that you channeled through the gene. What is it called?
Destiny Keys.
The Destiny Keys. Yeah. And so Soul Plan was channeled through by a guy called Frank Elper, and it was again just something that just came to him, and it was that every letter of our birth name carries a vibrational frequency. And then that's translated into all these numbers and everything. It's put into a chart, and then I share that information. But it is definitely corresponds. They say every one of these things has an astrological level. It's mixed in with the I Ching. It's got all this ancient wisdom, but kind of put together into a modality. So yeah.
It sounds amazing. I'd never heard of it before I met you. And the first thing I thought was, oh my God, that's the Destiny Keys. Like, that's what I do through astrology. So I love that we do the same thing. And it's going to be so interesting to read your chart, which we're going to do soon together, in front of all you guys. And you get to experience an astrology reading. And I'd love to see what the similarities are and if there's any differences as well between your astrology chart and soul plan. So should we dive in? Should we dive in and discover what astrology says your soul plan is?
Let's do it.
Do it. All right, I'm going to bring up your birth chart. And here it is. So this is your blueprint of your life, as we call it in astrology. So we have so much going on in here, and we've said that we're going to focus on your soul purpose, your life purpose. But there's something very interesting here. So this is quite a rare aspect that you have on your chart called a kite. Can you see if you were to twist, like tip your head, you would see there's a kite shape here.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a powerful aspect where different parts of your chart are working together in harmony, and it's beautiful. But two of the aspects are working against each other, and it's going to cause immense tension in your life. And this one's really quite tough, actually. So I'm going to be really interested to hear how you feel about it. So for you and for everyone who's listening as well, we have the planet Saturn. So Saturn is our life lesson. It's the thing that we are going to find the hardest to do in this lifetime. And for each of us, Saturn is in one of the 12 astrological signs. So you can have a look at your chart at home, guys. Wherever your Saturn is, whatever sign that is, you're likely to repress that sign. And you come into your power when you start embracing it. So do you want to hear where your Saturn is, Kelly?
I sure do.
All right. Your Saturn is in Pisces, in the house of transformation. So Pisces is emotions. Pisces is emotional intelligence. It's psychic abilities. It's intuition. And it feels like this is something that you provide to others through transformational times, but it hasn't come naturally to provide that for yourself. You're nodding, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't want to go too deep with anything that's going to be really personal because loads of people
No,
are going to see. I will leave it
I'm
open to you as we
I'm an
go.
open book. I'm an open book. You can give it to me as if this was a private reading, honestly.
Amazing. People are going to love this. Now we're like proper voyeur mode. Let's see what we can learn about you. So that resonates with your Saturn. So is it something that you have got more comfortable with as you get older, or is that still a point of tension for you?
Definitely. So for many years, I called it hiding in the woo-woo closet. Like I did not want people to know that I had this other side of me. And I was a life coach for mothers, very specifically about time management, living a well-balanced life. That's what my book's about. That's what my business has been about for 10 years. And then it was like, it was just this, I had to just start telling people more about this other stuff that I was into, that I was exploring all the intangibles and I was into all this other stuff. But I did it via starting my podcast. And I just decided to it was lockdown 2020, and I just decided to start a podcast called Project Me, which was the name of my business anyway. But rather than doing the logical thing, which was make a podcast about my business, helping people with, the different life areas, looking at the life wheel, all the practical stuff. I just went, you know what? I just have to start sharing my stories. So I just began with, the book I read, that The Celestian Prophecy was the very first book I read. Did you ever read that? I read it when
I
I was
have. It's
28, and
beautiful.
it changed my life. And and so each episode goes in this chronological order where I just piece together all the books, the modalities, the different things in life that began to open me up to, all of well, I used to call it woo-woo. I don't call it woo-woo anymore. And because I just started to realize that when you call something woo-woo, you're almost diminishing it, you're kind of I don't know. I used to write things off and go, oh, don't worry about that. It's just my woo-woo book. You wouldn't be interested in that. Now that I'm owning it, like completely and utterly owning it, to my husband, to my children, to my friends, to everybody, I'm now owning my spirituality. And now, if anything, when I'm talking about it, I feel like, oh, if they don't get it, like, oh, I'm sorry for them. I don't feel at all like, oh, I'm embarrassed for me, whereas I used to be like that. I really was.
Well done. Like that is huge. Saturn is something that many people do not master in their lifetime. And the beautiful thing with Saturn is that although it's the hardest thing you, I, anyone will ever do, once we master our Saturn, it stops contracting that area of our life and it makes it very, very powerful. So it went from being, I'm afraid to be seen as woo-woo to here I am and I'm going to support people in their spirituality, which is a massive reframe. Because it's in the eighth house. So for everybody, the eighth house is your house of transformation. I call this the house of birth, death, sex, and rebirth. It's the really, really powerful stuff. And that's what you are able to hold people through because you're in your Saturn. So the reason I'm talking about Saturn is it's one side of the kite, and there's a red line going across to two planets here, which are Uranus and Pluto. So Saturn was squashing Uranus and Pluto. So what is Uranus and Pluto? Uranus is authenticity. It's your inner rebel. I love it. Uranus is my favorite. And Pluto is a transformational planet. And so your desire to stay small and in the woo-woo closet meant that you weren't able to stand in your Virgo, which is where these planets are power. So Virgo is the witch. Which is, the healer, the midwife, the one who gathers the herbs, the one that rolls their sleeves up and helps mop up the life stuff that's happened, be that whatever that might be, sick or blood or tears, like they're here for it. And you possibly weren't able to embody your authenticity when it came to all that practical hands-on spiritual stuff because of the Saturn.
That's super interesting. So was it always meant to be that I was to transcend this? Or, what helped me transcend it? I mean, what was there something else in my chart that or was I just being pushed towards it?
We all have the opportunity to heal our Saturn, whether we dare to step out of the comfort zone or not is entirely freedom of choice. Like it's like we incarnate on this holographic world as a game, and either we make the choice to do it or we don't make the choice to do it. And what makes that difference, I can't say for sure, but you did it.
Mhm.
And through doing that, that changed your whole lens of the world. That's what happens with Pluto, guys. If you learn the Pluto, which is to be the witch, to be the healer, the hands-on healer, that whole life area changes. And for you, it's your entire lens of the world. It's your first house, how you see yourself, how you see the world, how you see everything was completely transformed. And your Saturn unlocked that for you, where it was repressing it, it unlocked it and let the light in. Is that possibly when you moved over to the UK or later than that, perhaps?
Oh, much later, I would say. Yeah, much later. hmm
Okay, so something that I find very interesting in your chart is your 0 degrees sun. So, what star sign, when people would ask you, what star sign would you say you are?
What star sign would I say I am? You mean as opposed to the one that I was born under?
Yeah, like which one were you born under with your
Um,
birthday?
Virgo, but right on the edge, because I'm August 24th. So I'm almost a Leo, but I'm in Virgo. And I don't know the things that I hear about Virgo. Again, I don't know a whole lot about astrology, but the only thing I know about Virgo is kind of a bit nitpicky, a bit of a perfectionist, very like kind of organized and all that. And that's definitely me. That was my old business completely. My entire project me was about turning your life into a project, and there were tools and resources and worksheets and the Project Me Life Wheel tool, and everything was to support people into living a well-balanced life. It was very practical, all of that. And ever since I have been slowly letting that side of the business go, I've noticed for myself that I'm becoming so much less in the box. Like I'm flowing more. I'm less having to abide by a to-do list. I'm more kind of just feeling into what needs to be done every day without needing to have this master to-do list. I used to teach people the master to-do list where you put everything there and then you choose your 3 most important priorities that day. And I had this whole system. And now I feel like I wake up and I meditate and I journal a bit and I kind of feel into like what needs to happen today. I'm just so much more and just very living my life very differently.
That hits the Virgo nail on the head perfectly. The reason that you were in what I would call the low road of Virgo, which is micromanaging yourself, and this should be like this, and that should be like that. Virgo loves to should all over us. Um, was because of that Pluto and Uranus being suppressed, I guess, not suppressed, but sort of squashed by the Saturn. And when you healed the Saturn, you healed that part of yourself that can go with the flow, that can intuitively say, what do I feel like wearing today? And actually, I think I might just stay in bed, rather than the Virgo, which is like, no, I should get up at 7 o'clock. So that is very much about that. But also, your sun is Virgo, but it's also Leo. So if anyone knows anyone who's born on the cusp and they don't know if they are a Virgo or a Leo, for example, have a look at the birth chart. So your sun is 0 degrees Virgo. That means it's in Leo as well.
Interesting. I always hear this whole thing about which house is your sun in, or is it also which house is your moon in? And I never know. I'm always like, how can I find that out? I do not know where my sun. So my moon is in Leo. No, my sun
No,
is in Leo.
your moon's over there somewhere. Your sun is in Leo and Virgo.
Just like my
Both.
stars. Okay.
Yeah, so your stars, if someone's to ask you what your star sign is, you've actually got two, your Leo and
Oh,
Virgo. So
that's interesting.
most of the most of the Leo is kind of hidden from you. We call the 12th house the house of secrets. And so the Leo is hidden from you until we get older and we see it. And it's very much part of you because it's your ascending sign, which is your soul personality. Your sun is Leo on your ascending line. So Leo and Virgo combined. And I wonder what that would look like. The lion and the witch. Sounds like the lion, the witch, and the wardrobe, doesn't it? The lion and the witch. You're both those things. So it's the healer, the person who's kind of organized, but also here to shine and be seen and take up space. People see and hear me. I'm not afraid to be seen for who I am.
Yeah, that feels really good. That feels right. I feel like I've moved into that now, whereas before, I mean, I don't think that people who know me well would ever have said, oh, she's a wallflower, she's shy or anything, because I've always been very social. But there's just something about what happens when you start your own business and there's like this vulnerability that comes in where I don't know, something happened when I started my business in 2013, and all kinds of I had to push through a lot of self-doubt and imposter syndrome and all that kind of stuff, like who am I to be doing this and all of that. So it's been, my business is really, I would say, caused me to push myself so much more by starting my business more than anything else.
Yes, yes. And I can see that you're here to shine, but that would have been very uncomfortable for you because not only that Saturn is crazy in your chart, but also your descendant is in Aquarius. Now, normally the descending sign is what we project onto other people. But because most of your ascending sign falls in the 12th house, you actually associate yourself as quite Aquarius, which is the loner, the black sheep, the odd one out, the one who understands everybody else so well and feels deeply misunderstood. Like, I get you all. Why doesn't nobody get me? Like, not one of you. Has that been a central theme in your life?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I have always been a little bit like look outwardly, it looks like, I've got lots of friends and all this, but I really like being on my own and one-on-one, connections with a friend if I'm going to see somebody rather than a gang of girlfriends kind of thing. And I can definitely relate to that. You said something and then I just thought, oh, you said you were here to shine. And are you saying that because my sun is in the Leo, or what made you say that?
It's your sun in Leo and your ascendant. You see this big thick line here going over to the left. That is your soul personality and it's Leo, but it's kind of invisible to you in your younger years, perhaps, maybe not so much now, because it's hidden in your house of secrets. Most of this Leo is hidden in the 12th house. So any signs that lie there for anybody, for me, it's Virgo. Until I knew it, I I thought that people who were very Virgo were very, very annoying. Um, and it may be that you, in your younger years, maybe thought that really loud, proud people were obnoxious, you know, taking up the spotlight. Like, who are you to shine?
Yeah.
You're full of yourself. Like a Tony Robbins type person would be like, "Oh my God, stop!" Whereas when you get a bit older, you own it, and you're like, "Yeah, I can be Tony Robbins. You know, I can take up that space."
Mm.
Um, and it feels like you're there now. You're embracing the Leo, which is the loud and the proud, and the Aquarius, that you're different, and that's okay. Because I always say, if you feel like the odd one out, that's because everybody else is trying to fit in the normal box. Like, we're all weird, we're all different. And sadly, so many of us have learned to conform to what society expects. But we're all big old weirdos, really, in my
Yeah.
humble opinion, anyway.
Mm-hmm. No, this is interesting already because a few years ago when I had my soul plan reading done, before I became a soul plan practitioner myself, it came through that my worldly talent in life, like the talent that I was born to have in this lifetime, is it's called fertility and abundance. And it is about being like sunshine energy, shining your light. So that's why it's shining your light brightly, being positive. And until I had that reading, I used to dim my light to fit in, you know, the whole don't dim to fit in thing. Like I did that all the time because I didn't want to be too much for people. I felt like I was too much for people. I almost felt like people were recoiling a little bit if I was too positive. And also, I was concerned that people would think I was a Pollyanna because I do always look on the bright side. I do always see that, you know, the glass is always half full for me. And then this term came out called toxic positivity. And it was like, oh my gosh, am I toxically positive? And so I really kind of like, if somebody else was a bit more, you know, low, I would match them. I would come down, you know, whatever, so that I wouldn't be too much for them. But when I had my soul plan reading, and then it was said to me that you chose in this lifetime to be a shining light, to be like a sunshine energy, and you know you need to own that. From that day forward, I thought that if that's what I'm here to do, then that's what I'm here to do. And I started just being really positive and really bright, no matter who I'm with. And things have really gone a lot better for me since I've done that.
That is so spot on. So not only is the sun, you talk about shining and being the sun is on your soul personality. And Leo is your ascending sign, your soul personality. Leo is ruled by the sun. Leo is sunshine energy. So you've just got a whole lot of sunshine over where it's your outlook on the world, who you really are. It's all there.
That is so fascinating because in Soul Plan, we only ask for the birth name, the name that's on your birth certificate, not your birth date, not where you were born, not the time you were born. So isn't that just incredible? I mean, I really believe that our parents channeled through our names, or whoever named us. In my case, it was my grandparents. But the name comes through because otherwise, why would we have the name we have? There's so many names in the world. And yeah, I find it super fascinating that then it corresponds to the day that you're going to enter the world and you're given that name and it just all comes together. This kind of information really helps people to, yeah, like you said, own who you are and not trying to fit into a box and not trying to tone yourself down, dim your light, all that. It's really, really cool.
Amazing that it's worked out from your name, and there it is from your time and date of birth, saying exactly what
And
you were
place of
told.
birth, right? You needed to know where I was born. I was born in Minnesota. Can I ask you, is there anything within this that is about finances, like abundance and that kind of thing?
So I generally steer clear of sort of fate astrology. Vedic
No, I
astrology
mean just
quite
in,
likes to.
I meant more like is there anything that you can see in here that would show whether I would just naturally have a really abundant, you know, successful, you know, financially successful kind of life? Because in Soul Plan, that whole thing I told you about where my worldly talent is this sunshiny fertility and abundance, it's called, and it's just about there always being enough, there always being enough, like never having no lack, nothing like that. So I was wondering whether you see that in my chart here.
I do, but I don't see it as something that's always been a given. So for everybody, the second house is the house of money and self-worth. It's both because we only allow plenty of money to flow if we know we deserve it. So it's both encompassed here. So one of the signs in your house of money is Virgo, um, and the other is Libra. So it would have taken a mastery of these signs. Like you've mastered the Virgo, you've gone from the low road, which is worrier, nitpicker, micromanaging, to healer. But the Libra is like a perfectionist and a people pleaser. So the mastery of Libra will be accepting actual balance. Some people will like me, some people will not. Sometimes people are happy, sometimes they're not. It's not because of my behavior. And then you find that true balance. So with the mastery of Virgo and Libra, that would really help your house of money. Then we've got the house of finances where you've got that awful Saturn. Um, but you've mastered the Saturn, which is the and the Chiron, which is next to it, by the way, which is I am allowed to go with my intuition and feel my emotions, express my emotions. Um, it's not just for other people, which is the Chiron, it's for me as well. And I feel like that possibly held back your house of finances, but then you mastered the Saturn. And I think that because of that mastery, it could have gone a very different way if you were shutting all over yourself and people pleasing and not allowing yourself to flow um and you know not holding space for yourself emotionally through difficult times. No, it would not be flowing. But you made the right choice, so it can.
Wonderful. Yeah, no, I was definitely not born into any money, like born, you know, no money. And it's been like, you know, like gradual. So yeah, that's really interesting. Mhm.
Yeah, so it's all come together. That is interesting.
Mhm.
So what I really want to dig into, as sort of possibly the last aspect we'll look at, is why are you here? So there is something known as the North Node and the South Node in astrology, which we've nicked from Vedic astrology. It's the only thing we've pinched, well, the only thing that I've pinched from Vedic astrology. And this is your life purpose. So this lovely Omega symbol here is where your life purpose lies. And that's the North Node or the True Node. And then exactly opposite that, which isn't this symbol here, that's Neptune, but exactly where Neptune is your South Node. So your South Node is what your previous incarnation was about. And what we often do is we come into this incarnation and we go, on a subconscious level, on a soul level, I know what I'm here to do. I did it last time. I'm going to do this. And that's our South Node. So about 30 years into our life goes, nah, you've learned the lessons of your South Node. You've learned what to do, what not to do. Now stop doing that and do the exact opposite, because that's really why you're here. And it can really cause some midlife crises, 28, 29, 30, 31, people having this breakdown time. I mean, I had a breakdown when I was 31. Because they're like, no, I know why I'm here, and life stops it from happening, and suddenly you don't get the job opportunities, or friendships fall away, or you lose your job, and it's a big crisis point. So your South Node, which is what your previous incarnation was, is in the house of communication, and it's in the sign of Scorpio. So for all of us, all of us have all the 12 zodiac signs in our personality. So anywhere that you find Scorpio, it's to do with the taboo, it's to do with being a detective, getting to the bottom of things and wanting to know all the details, getting the nitty-gritty. I almost see this as you like going through people's drawers and like clearing out all the crap that they've sort of dust gathered and moth bitten and stuff, but it's possibly getting to the emotional reasons behind the hoarding was possibly a specialty of yours. And because it's with Neptune there as well, perhaps seeing where people are in addiction to being disorganized or being hoarding. That the word hoarding keeps coming into my mind, and I'm not sure if that's relevant. So first of all, does that feel like that was anything to do with your specialty for the first 30 years or so?
Yeah, well, you said communications, and that was my degree at university. I studied communications, and I very specifically wanted to work in film and television. And that's when I moved from Minnesota to Hollywood and went to work in the entertainment industry in Hollywood. And worked behind the scenes in production in television and all of that. I was Johnny Depp's PA for a while, and I worked for Capitol Records in Hollywood, music video production, and I was very into all of that. Moved to London, became a record cover designer, worked in-house for Sony Music, Polydor Records, all of that. And then when I was 32, I got married. 33, I had my first child. And that was when I had my identity crisis because I just realized I couldn't work in the entertainment industry anymore with a baby unless I wanted to leave my baby with a carer all day and come home at the arsenic hour and have the baby for that last hour of the day. And I just knew I didn't want that. So I gave up this very glamorous career in the music industry, entertainment, and became just a mother. And that contrast between always everyone always wanted to know what I did and who I was working with and what parties I'd been to and what record cover have you done lately, and being in London and seeing your record cover on Tower Records back in the day. Now no one cares about record covers, but it was very much my identity was so wrapped up in all of that. And nothing prepared me for how just leaving all that behind and being a mother, oh my goodness, I just completely lost my identity. I didn't know who I was anymore. I just felt like, oh yeah, it was a really hard phase. But out of that is where I decided to organize my life. When you mentioned about like organizing, I decided that my life was a hot mess. I now had 2 kids. And I felt like I was not doing anything good enough, just nothing. And we had our house renovated. And as a part of the house renovation project, I got myself a project folder that had the binder, with all the different colored tabs for, plumbing and electricity and interior design and gardening. And when that project was over, I remember looking at this book, this big binder folder on my shelf, and I thought, gosh, if only I could turn my life into a project like that. If I devoted that much attention into my life as I just did this house, and that gave me like this spark of an idea. And I got a new binder folder and I got the colored tabs, and I called each one family, love, work, personal growth, fun and friendships. And I just went through like all of it. And that's how I created Project Me. And I created Project Me just for myself. I never imagined, because my life was still such a mess, I never imagined that I would be helping other people. But I ended up sharing my Project Me with like a couple of girlfriends, and they made their own Project Me's. And ultimately, in 2013 is when I launched my blog, myprojectme.com, and I began helping other people to make their lives less messy. And that's what I called it, organizing your life. Like clearing the mess, clearing the clutter. There was a lot of stuff I used to write. My blogs are all still there on myprojectme.com. Lots of stuff on clutter clearing and how to clear your mind, but how to clear your house, how to live with less, all of that. So that's spot on.
Wow, that's incredible. And it almost feels like through a lot of this, you've had this sort of, instead of going just towards your south node to begin with, it feels like some of your north node was there quite early on, because the north node is in Taurus, and that is luxuries, that's money, that's having lavish parties, you know. It's the design on the record label, on the record covers as well, because Taurus is about the tangible and Scorpio is about the intangible. So you were perhaps dealing with the messes for the celebrities that you were working with, and that would be very Scorpio. But also indulging in the food and the luxury holidays and apartments, and that's the Taurus stuff. So it almost feels like there's been this balance through all of it, but maybe it was more Scorpio, and then you had your identity crisis when you became just a mom, which is the most important job in the world and the best job in the world, but it takes a lot of work. It's
Yeah.
hard. Um, and yeah, then getting things organized is that beautiful balance between your Virgo and your Taurus. Your Virgo is there organizing, and the Taurus is making it luxurious and sumptuous and beautiful, color coordinated and gorgeous. So yeah, that is like the playoff. So the reason that you are here, not the Scorpio supports the Taurus, but it's not the main player. It's the ninth house. So for everybody, the ninth house is the house of expansion. It's spirituality, it's religion, it's taking things and making them really, really big. And it feels like that is why you are here, to help people expand through the physical realm. And I was looking at all the things that you do, and it feels like the most important stuff you do is the possibly the in-person work, because that's so Taurus. Helping people get comfortable with who they are, working with them one to one rather than online. You know, it's that physical presence in their life. It feels like that part is perhaps the most important part of your work when it comes to life purpose.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, when I run my in-person retreats in Ibiza, I know I could run kind of more hippie. I could run much cheaper villas and like hippie accommodation. It could be a bit more like that, like a little bit more boho. But like, I love renting like an amazing villa and bringing in like a top chef that's cooking incredible food for us every day. And we're doing all the activities that I love doing. That I like bringing people into that kind of an environment. And we bought a house in Ibiza a couple of years ago, and we've done it, gutted the whole thing, and have done it up like really beautifully. So yeah, I resonate with all of that. But I was just trying to understand, like, that's my kind of sole purpose, is to bring luxury. Is it more than that? Am I missing something?
It's bringing the luxury and the spirituality together, because
Mm.
it's very important in this time. A lot of spiritual people have pushed aside the luxuries, pushed aside the money, pushed aside. These are essential parts of our human journey. And the more abundance and luxury we have, the more we can give, because we've got the money to get the childminder, or we've got the money to have that massage and that spa day, so that we're refreshed. We can employ members of the team to support ourselves. And so many spiritual people have pushed that aside. And I feel that your role is to blend the two and say it's okay to be a spiritual person and have a luxury holiday, apartment, whatever it might be. I think that's your message.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I really can. And I agree with you completely that money just has a bad rap for a lot of people. And it's like, if good people have more money, we're gonna do more good with it, you know? So yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So that is an overview of your chart and why, according to astrology, you are here. Um, does that feel like it aligns with the work that you do?
Well, it does. Yeah, I can't wait to kind of listen to this back and take notes. I'm a real note taker. Like I understand things by kind of writing things down. And I've been sitting on my hands. I've got a notebook and a pen here. And I'm like, no, that's not gonna look good in the video if I'm here, like scribbling it down. But like I can't wait to hear it again so I can write things down and like really process it more because that's just the way I am. But yeah, so there was nothing there about me like working in groups or bringing groups of people together or because that's in Soul Plan, that's my soul destiny is bringing groups of people together and being a catalyst for change.
That is a catalyst for change. Yeah. I mean, you've got Mars in your house of community. So Mars is how we drive forward in life. I'm just going to look at your chart very quickly. Yeah, in Cancer. So you've got Mars and Jupiter together. Jupiter expands that desire to drive forward in community as a mother and a nurturer. So that's your role in community. There's only action in 4 or 5 houses of your chart, so I can see why that would come through as something that's really important. Yeah, it's how you move forward.
Super fascinating. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I love reading charts. That was so much fun.
Yeah, it really was. We need to do your soul plan next.
Maybe that sounds like fun. I just love to compare the notes when I do something like this or someone else's modality and compare notes and go, oh, that's the same as astrology. And oh, I didn't know that. It's
Yeah,
lovely, really fun.
love it.
So, would you like to let everyone know how they can work with you? Because Soul Plan sounds amazing.
Yeah, so they can go to my website, which is my name, kellypietrangeli.com. And there's got my online programs and my membership and my when I run retreats in Ibiza and soul plan sessions. Yeah.
Beautiful. I'll have a look. I'm intrigued to see what happens in Ibiza. It's one of my favorite places, so I'll
Oh,
be sure
you
to
know
have a look.
Ibiza? Yeah. Very
Yeah.
special place. A lot of people kind of paint it with the just the clubbing, just the that sort of side, but there's such a spiritual side to Ibiza that I love tapping into.
Yeah, very beautiful. The hippie market there, the original one. What's it called again?
Las
I love it there.
Dahlias. Las Dahlias. Yeah, I live 10 minutes from there. I love that part of the island. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for joining me today, Kelly.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. And like I said, I can't wait to listen to it back and take notes and super interesting.
Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. I'll be back in a couple of weeks, looking at the astrological season to come, Virgo season, actually, thinking about it. And yeah, thank you for listening, and I will see you again really soon.
This has been the Destiny Keys Life Purpose Astrology with Ahimsa Grace.